working for the Department of Ag for 12 years, I had access to, a big tractor. Can you hear me now? Tractor and a plasticulture machine. This past year I didn't have that. And so I always know that, if you're doing gardening, like what I'm doing, horticulture, growing, tomatoes and different things, a raised bed always works better. It just drains better. One year I had some peppers and it was on clay soil and I planted them flat and I had a whole lot of problems. They were just oversaturated, but when I put them on a raised bed, it made a world of a difference. And so I started raking the bed up with a rake. And then I thought, let me try this little weed eater attachment. And if you got your soil tilled up pretty good, that thing works pretty good. And so we'll show you that. We actually made this bed here with that. And then in the back of the truck, we're gonna pull it out here with a plasticulture machine that you pull by your hand, which would be really handy for people that have hoop houses, or if you just had a backyard and you didn't have enough space to get a tractor in or whatever, you could get something like this and you could lay your plastic, and the mulch really makes a lot of difference. It helps hold your water, moisture, gives you weed control. That's my biggest thing, is trying to deal with these weeds. So it gives you that weed control. You put a hole in the plastic, you got drip irrigation underneath there, it conserves water, and so it makes it grow faster, especially in the spring when the ground is still cold. The sun hits that black plastic and it warms that soil up and makes stuff really grow fast. So I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna make another little bed right here, kind of show you how that thing works. Makes a real nice bed. You could put irrigation line down and plant just like that, or you can overlay it with plastic. One thing we found just in this little bitty area right here is the ground is much nicer up on this end than it is on that end. But the other thing, if you ever start working a new plot of ground, I always pick that up there, we run into a few rocks out here. So if you got a ground that ain't never been worked before, that's what a lot of times what you find, especially if it's close to a city or in town. I grew up over by Muskogee. We raised cotton, and I'm trying to figure out what these was when I was chopping cotton, because these things, you can get them in different sizes. Instead of all this like this here all the time, it cuts both ways, and just slide it over top of the soil just like that. And you can go through down a road really fast, and it's a whole lot less energy, because you ain't doing all this. You're just doing a motion more like this, and you can get up really close, especially if you get a smaller one like that. So this is a company called Rogue. I think it's Rogue Hoe. You can look at them if anybody wants to look at them. They make all kinds. So the price on this thing is around $1,200. So you could, if you didn't have a whole lot of space and you wanted to be a market gardener and grow in your backyard, I bet you could make your money back in a year. Real easy. It could be that, I don't know that they're in Oklahoma that you can go with it. In Israel, when I went to Israel, they were definitely recycling it, yeah. I mean, because you can get it, it's easier. If you leave it in the ground like 2 years and a lot of weeds and stuff grow up, you're gonna have a real hard time getting it out. But if you take it up the same year you put it down, which if you're doing organic, they actually that's one of the things, they want you to take it up that end of the season. It comes up pretty easy. I just took some hours up at Langston and at my house, and it came up pretty easy. But if you leave it there for 2 or 3 years, it can be really hard to get out. And the other thing is to kind of keep the weeds and things between your rows kind of down some kind of way by tilling or spraying or something, and then that's going to make it easier to come out. But also, if you run, you're going to have an irrigation line underneath there. Because I have seen people put the irrigation line on top, because but the best way is for it to be underneath. And before you take it up, if you wick, let the water run for several hours and wick all the way out to the edges, that makes it come up easier. There's some disadvantages of this plastic, but to me the advantages is way out. Because I mean, if you're trying to get to a market and you're in competition with people, you're going to beat everybody. You're going to get there a week or 2 weeks earlier with okra. You're going to be there a couple of weeks earlier with watermelons and cantaloupe and all that stuff. And the way I start, this is my first year actually selling on the market. They start coming to you, then they just keep coming. I got some people that started doing strawberries when I was at Ag 3 years ago, and they're doing them every year now. I mean, because strawberries, if you plant them in a regular garden and the berries is in the grass and the weeds, and they're really low. But if you put them on the plastic, the berries just land right there on top of the ground, on top of the plastic. And most of these people are doing pick, and they're charging people to come in to pick them, and then they charge them again for how many they pick.